Hey, flockers. Totally unscheduled. Decided to do a pop-up of Tycho versus an acorny squash. We just set him down, just set the squash down. He's still looking at me a little bit oddly, wondering what the camera's doing. But we'll give him a few minutes and see what he does. It's okay, Tycho, I'm minding my own business. Okay, buddy, I'm over here. And would I ignore you and leave you in the squash alone? What do you think? Is that a good idea? I'll just talk to myself over here. I see Liz just joined us. Liz, I'm just doing the sneaky camera, watching from around the corner, leaving Tycho alone. He's already given the squash a good roll. He's edging towards it. Hi, Cheryl. Yeah, not sure how long this one's going to last. It's just a little bit of a pop-up. And I'm just going to come over and do a quick adjust. Just slight more adjust there. There. Is that better? Yeah, is that better? Okay, let's just give this a little bit up, and a little bit down. Woo, hang on. One little bit more up. There. Oops, I'm making a bit of a mess here. Here. Right, I'm Cowbird. Yes, it's all about Tycho and the squash. I'm not watching, Tycho, you're on your own. Yes, Saucy Boo, just a little bit of a surprise late night wrestling match with a squash. Now I just have to convince Tycho that I'm not actually paying any attention whatsoever to him. Because I think everybody knows Tycho on the camera. He kind of likes his privacy. Yeah, Tycho, I'm just loading the dishwasher over here. Minding my own business. Nothing to do with the bird at all. Nope, nope, nope. Yes, we never know with Tycho what's going to happen, but he does love his squash. So kind of hoping his love for squash will override his curiosity of what's happening with the camera. Yes, Tycho, I'm ignoring you. Max is ignoring you too. Max is actually busy working on a piece of matter. Is that a good squash, buddy? How about if I sit down over here? Definitely roly-poly playtime. Tycho normally by now would be right into the squash. He's sitting still as a statue. Yeah, we don't really schedule the Tycho videos at all. They're just pop-ups. He's quite capable of getting into the squash on his own. Normally by now he would have already ripped it open, but I think he sort of noticed something was a little bit weird with where he's sitting, the fact there's a camera turned on. Although he sees me holding a cell phone, so hopefully he does not realize there's one pointed at him. Poor Tycho. That squash is just not behaving itself, is it? What do you think? Can you get into it? Or you just keep an eye on me, huh? Yeah, I'm over here. Yeah, you never really know what's going to happen with Tycho in a live stream or how long they're going to last. We do the regular live streams with Max on Saturday mornings, but occasionally when opportunity presents itself, I'll try to pop up Tycho. What do you think, Tycho? Get right in there. Go get it. Tycho's definitely a lot more comfortable this time sitting on the base of the round toy, or the round perch rather. I made one mistake. I forgot to put down paper, so might have to go down and clean it up if somebody lifts up his tail. Oh, well, that'll happen, won't it, Tycho? You see the squash? What do you think, Tycho? Is that a good squash? Because people came to watch you eat the squash, not watch you stare at it. Can I give the squash a push towards you? Uh-oh. Here you go. Go get it. Go get it. Squash wants another push. Oh, you're just going to give me the evil eye. Go get the squash. So Tycho's already taken the stem off of the squash, and I'm not quite sure why he's not going for it. Yeah, I think he might be aware that he's on film right now. But I'm over here, buddy. See, I've got my second cell phone in my hand. They're pretty good, yeah. I'll leave you alone to it. Let's see. Hi. He's busy supervising me as he sees me puttering in the kitchen. And I'm just putting supper in the oven. Hey, Tycho. Yeah, let's put some supper in the oven. We might want some supper after this. Tycho, if you put your entire weight on there, it's gonna roll. Yep, you're okay. Where are you, Tycho? Good. Let's go back. Can we go back? Oh, it's okay, bud. It's okay. Here. We go back here. Step, step. There you go. It's okay, Max. It's okay. What have I got for you? Look. I got a block for you, Max. See, Tycho, I knew that was going to happen if you stood on it. Liz, Tycho's actually pretty good about cutting his own flat sides onto squash. He was actually looking at me a little bit aggressively, so that's why I actually grabbed him on the stick, put him down. And if my hand gets too close to his beloved squash, my hand has a good chance of doing a bit of bleeding. So I definitely respect the beak. Isn't that right, Tycho? Yeah. Well, it's definitely giving him a bit of a hard time to get his beak into it. It's quite funny to watch. He will get in eventually. Won't you, buddy? Can you get into that? Do you know what's inside? Is that a squash? Is that a good squash? Tycho, would you like me to cut a little start into it? Or do you want to keep trying on your own? I normally let him try on his own, but I'm thinking about maybe cutting a little bit of a start in it, just to give him a hand. Hey, Tycho. Hey, Teeks. Well, don't. Yeah, you're looking kind of aggressive. Do you want. Oh, growl at me, huh? I saw that growl. Okay. Sweetie, I would really, really like to. This one. Oops, no, not that. I want to give the squash a roll. Can you give the squash a roll? Nope. That did not work. I need the squash further away from him in order to grab it safely. And right now we are up close and personal. Okay, Tycho, if you want me to give the squash a start, can you back away from the squash so I can pick it up safely? Yeah, if it was an emergency, I would go right in and grab something away from him, but I'm not willing to sacrifice my hand for no apparently good reasons. So, hey Doris, glad to see that you're meeting us. Yeah, okay, Tycho. Well, you hang out with it for a little bit. Maybe you can roll it further away and I'll come grab it and give it a cut. Okay? It's up to you though. he's definitely taking possession of his squash. Hey, Tycho. Can you get your beak in there? Can you get a good bite? Been rolling for a while. People would like to see you tearing up the squash, I bet. Because squash only ends one of two ways. Destroyed or utterly destroyed. What do you think, Tycho? Is it going to be a destructive squash date? Hey, Katie. So far, it's a bit of a wrestling match. Tycho's already ended up on the floor once because he's being silly enough to try and stand on a roly-poly squash. And we may see that happen again. He's having a bit of a hard time getting his beak into this particular squash. Although he has taken the stem off of it. I'd love to get in there, take the squash and just give it a little bit of a chunk just to get the cut started. But that's not going to happen while Tycho is establishing ownership because somebody will bleed. I did try to roll it away from him a minute ago, but that did not work too well and he ended up reestablishing ownership. Oh, is it rolling away? Hi. That's right. Say hi to the squash. You know what? This is just as amusing as him shredding a squash. Do it, Tycho. We believe in you. And there it rolls. Tycho, can I get a bit of a start on Mr. Squash? Would that be okay? Come over here. Ha ha! I got the squash. Okay, watch, Tycho. I'm just going to put a couple of little cuts into the squash. Oops. You know, it might help if I did not do that on the camera stand. Okay, a couple over here. And a couple over here. And a couple over here. Okay. All right. Squash knife needs to go into the dishwasher. Hey, Tycho, would you like a squash? I've got a squash for you. Okay. There you go. You got it. Did you find those cuts I made? Did I stab it with a knife for you? Hey, Amanda, Max is around. He's just playing on his own quietly. This one's Tycho's show. Can you find those cuts I made in the squash, Tycho? Oh, I gave it a couple of good cuts. Can you find them? They're just horizontal cuts, but I bet you can get in. You look at Tycho's body language right now. Can you see the space between his wings? You see some of his back feathers? He's sitting right now puffed up a little bit with his wings out a little bit. Very possessive about the squash. A little bit fluffed up as well. Oh, there we go. A bit more relax. You see how his wings are sort of how he's holding himself. But he definitely wants that squash. And he's being kind of possessive about it. So what will happen with the squash after the oven finishes announcing it's warmed up is Tycho can play with it out here for a little bit, and I will pop it inside of his cage, and he'll probably have the thing destroyed by tomorrow. Normally he's destroying it a lot faster. Today's a little bit odd. He's had the squash now for nearly half an hour and he's not gotten into it yet, which is quite unusual for him. Although he definitely likes the squash. I mean, he's not complaining about it at all. Okay. Well, Tycho, while you're playing with that, can I make some rice? Yes, I'm making a bit of dinner in the background here. So when I make dinner and things like rice, what I do with the rice is I make the rice completely plain. And there's a reason for this. It's because the flock cannot have salt, and a lot of oil is not really good for them either. So when I make rice, I just make it completely plain, no salt, no butter, nothing in it. And I decorate, or I decorate it. I guess you could call it decorating it. I season it once it's on my plate. So the flock will get some rice, and they'll just be totally plain rice. This one's a jasmine rice that I have today. And I've got some sausages in the oven to go with it. I think those will go fairly well. They're just Italian sausages, and the reason I'm cooking them in the oven is because I want something where it's covered. I don't have something that's dangerous for the flock out because I've got Tycho out right now. Oh, Amanda, don't be lonely. Tycho's here to keep you company. Hey, Tycho, how's the squash? Is that a good squash? Can you find the cuts I made in it? I can almost see them from here. Can you get your beak in there? Do you want me to put a bigger cut in there? Seriously, Tycho? Tycho's usually much better at getting into squash all by himself. Okay. So Tycho, I'm going to come over and I'm going to take the squash for a minute. Thank you. And I'm just going to give a little bit more of a cut into it, okay? Let's see. Thank you for not going after me when I grabbed your squash. Let's see. Okay. There's one. And there's two. Probably not the safest way to cut squash, but I managed to not cut myself, so life is all good. Okay. So Tycho, can you see that I've just given the squash a couple of eyes? There we go. All right, I'm just going to step over. There you go, Teeks. Oh, yeah, and I'm going to get out of here. Can you get the squash now? Okay, I'll leave it alone. I know it's yours. Oh yeah, Tycho's got to be cold. Cue squash destruction. So Amanda, that's such a really, really good question. So what Tycho does with pumpkin and squash is he enjoys shredding it. He eats a little bit, but he mostly shreds it. He was eating a bit of dinner just before I brought him out for his squash. So he may not be eating a lot right now, but he'll mostly be shredding it. But for him, pumpkins and squash, it's the joy of shredding. Yeah, this particular squash is a little bit underripe. It's quite tough. And I think that's part of the reason why he's having a hard time getting his beak into the rind to begin with. Usually he just cuts into it. Usually squash cut a little bit easier than this one did. I will admit that. But it is kind of round, so you can see that his beak was just sliding off of it. It's quite funny watching him with a pumpkin. In October, when it's pumpkin season, I will give him a full-size carving pumpkin. And when I say a full-size carving pumpkin, I mean a full-size carving pumpkin. I'll give him a 20-pound pumpkin, and Tycho can destroy that pumpkin in a couple of days. It does not take him long. He's earned himself the title of the Pumpkin King. He's quite proud of that title, but he's also the squash master. So KT says, so far she sees squash 1, Tycho 0, and Uman comes in third. Well, Uman got a start on the squash and did not get bit when she did so. This was a good thing. And yeah, Tycho's definitely into it now. He's having a lot of fun with this. He's going to be shredding it. There's going to be squash guts everywhere. Isn't that a wonderful sound? Just the crunch, crunch, crunch of squash. Is that good? Yeah, this is definitely what everybody came to watch, is Tycho destroying the squash. Rodbug, you're right. Birdie, ASMR. Squash meat everywhere. Yeah, Tycho is very enthusiastic when it comes to squash. You know, now he's got his beak into it. It's definitely his. But he's also very territorial about squash. I've made the mistake of reaching into his cage when there's been a squash inside of his cage, and I almost lost a finger. I mean, I don't blame him. He definitely knows what he likes, and he knows what he needs to protect. For context, Tycho weighs, what, about a pound? The squash itself is actually quite heavy. Believe it was $1.90 a pound, and I paid over $2 for it, so it's a little bit over a pound. So that squash, in terms of mass, is the same mass as Tycho. It does not faze him at all, though. He'll tackle all comers. Amanda says, we need some heavy breathing for ASMR. You want me to do the voiceover? Yeah, I definitely might sound a little bit quieter than I usually do on a live stream. I'm hanging out in the kitchen, leaving Tycho a little bit to his own ends. We all know Tycho does not like the paparazzi birdie. He gets a little bit aggravated when the camera's pointed at him and there's a little bit too much going on. Although right now I don't think he'd notice if I even got up to him with a camera in his face. Could try that. Oh, he noticed the camera. I'm going to back off again. I'm sorry, Tycho. Did you notice the camera? Was the paparazzi birdie bothering you? Okay, we're just going to zoom in a little bit more here. Oh, hang on. There. Oops. There. How's that? A little bit higher. Do that. So today I am taping on a cell phone. So the tripod I use for the cell phone is not as good as the tripod I can use for regular webcam that I normally will use for streaming. So there's a little bit of jiggling there when I was holding the camera by hand and setting up the tripod again, but hopefully that's a good view. You can definitely see what Tycho's up to right now. And Tycho definitely looks quite happy. Look happy, Tycho? Yes, Rebug, the Rybug or Rebug, I apologize if I ever mispronounce your name or if I use the wrong pronoun. Please, if I am mispronouncing a name, please correct me in the comments, provide me with just a phonetic pronunciation or a hint on how to pronounce it, and I'll definitely try to try it again. It's Rebug. Rebug. Thank you very much, Rebug. So Tycho's beak, very, very powerful. KT Spirit says that she has a lace wing sitting on her arm. Don't let Tycho see it, ha ha. You never know how the flock will react to something. One time I've been at a dance convention, and what they frequently will do is they will issue a wristband. And this one's actually a Max story. I came home wearing a fluorescent yellow wristband. And it's the kind, it's a sort of a little bit of stretchy plastic, and it's the kind that is built that you have to clip, you have to cut it off. It does not pull off easily. It's hard, you can't, even trying to snap them, you really can't snap them. They're intended to only come off one way, which is a pair of scissors through them. Well, Max took one look at this thing and he decided that there was something evil on my arm. And, maybe it was the color, but it was this fluorescent yellow. And Max sort of kissed at it, raised up his wings. Now he's standing on the arm wearing the wristband at the time, so this is a little bit of a problem. So he got a little bit territorial about the wristband, a little bit possessive about the arm. And he reached forward and he grabbed the wristband. He grabbed it with his beak. And he didn't bite through it. Instead, he grabbed it and he yanked it as hard as he could. Now, Max might only be 1.5 kilograms, and he's exceedingly strong. He grabbed the thing and he was holding, he had the arm fully pinned that he was pulling on. So he's standing on my arm and he's got the thing that's attached to my arm in his beak. There's no real pulling away at that point. And he just gave this one a ferocious yank and pulled it he basically stretched a little bit and then it pulled off the arm. He gave a ferocious shake and then a fling. And he looked pretty proud of himself. I was sitting there sort of going, that really hurt my arm. So next day I had to go back to the convention and I brought the destroyed wristband as evidence that I had paid my way in. And the person said, well, you're not supposed to take these things off. So I explained what happened. And she looked at it and I showed her bruising on my wrist. And I said, trust me, this was not a voluntary removal. She knew one and she kind of had a good laugh at me for it. But it is amazing how strong they are with the beaks and with the facial muscles. It's when you look at the beak, it looks a little bit intimidating because it looks like it could bite. It looks like it's sharp. But the worst part about it is the strength that is in behind the beak. That's definitely the worst part about it. Isn't it, Tycho? How's your squash? Is that a good squash? So Tycho's looking like he is losing a little bit of interest in the squash right now. Does anybody want to see some squash excitement? Give me a thumbs up or a comment if you want to see what happens if I sprinkle a couple of sunflower seeds on squash. Okay, I will do so. Hey, Tycho, do you want a couple of sunny seeds? Oh. Now I've got a couple of sunflower seeds. There you go. Oh, hey, that squash is paying off dividends. Oh, is that good? Yeah, Tico's no slouch when it comes to sunflower seeds. I think they're one of his favorite treats. And absolutely, I'm trying to be a little bit cautious here because I don't want to get inadvertently chomped on. Because he is very territorial about squash and sunflower seeds. And I can't say that I blame him. Oh yeah, Katie. He says much better, Mom. There's something really tasty here. These sunflower seeds are really good, man. They're coming out of the squash. I wonder if there's more inside. Yeah. Now we've got enough enthusiasm to keep going after the squash. We were talking about body language a little bit earlier and how Tycho's reacting with things. He's pretty comfortable right now. And he's definitely going after that squash. But one thing to keep an eye on for body language is watch his eyes. Of course, it's probably not going to happen right now, but he's pinning them. And what it means when a bird pins their eyes is that the pupils get really, really small and then a little bit larger, and then really, really small and then a little bit larger. And it's sort of almost a little bit of flash, and it's called pinning. And he does that as he's really enjoying something. But if you're watching his eyes, okay, there was a good blink, but you know, I keep looking over and I noticed that he's doing a fair bit of pinning with them. You know, he's focusing right on that squash and really, really enjoying it. Yeah, squash are pretty cheap entertainment for the flock. Max will eat a slice of squash and he'll eat it like it's a vegetable. Tycho much prefers having the whole squash. As you can see, he goes after it and just goes after it with a lot of gusto. You know, what surprises me is the flock's really not that interested in the seeds inside, but Tycho is really interested in the squash itself. You know, he just loves tearing it apart. It tastes good, it's a good texture, it's fun to pull apart. Isn't that right, Tycho? Is that fun? Actually, I have tried to roast some squash seeds before, Katie, and Tycho was really not that interested in the roasted squash. He prefers going after the squash whole, and he prefers it when the squash has some sunny seeds. It's kind of funny. You're being adorable, Tycho. Now, this is definitely one of the best toys you can get a flock member. It's foraging fun, it's quite natural, he's getting a lot of exercise with his beak, he's very interested in it. A good toy is one that gets destroyed. Face it, it's one of the things, if you own a large parrot, you know that their beaks are very destructive. A toy that does not get destroyed is probably not a very good toy unless there's some other way that they interact with it. And I'll use for an example there, Tycho loves his pots and pans and his bells. He's got this set of little metal, aluminum, I guess they are, pots and pans, or stainless steel, probably stainless steel. I think in a former life they were actually measuring cups, but whoever manufactures bird toys put them together as a bit of a hanging toy that they call pots and pans. And it does resemble a little set of pots and pans, and they clink together. Tycho absolutely loves playing with it. He loves the sound of them jingling together. So that's something that he really, really enjoys. Hey Mookie, glad that you joined us. Yes, Doris, I think Amanda might have left us for a bit, but she might be back. Hopefully she's back. We sort of have some people coming and going. We definitely, this one's a pop-up stream. We did not give any advance notice that we were doing it. Basically, Tycho was out of the cage, and I asked him if he wanted to destroy the squash that he was fixated on staring at, and he was pretty agreeable to that idea. So I thought maybe I'll just do this one as a bit of a stream. Tycho gets quite annoyed with me when I try to stream it inside of his cage and try and get a camera in there, but he's pretty good out here. So does anybody notice what he's chewing on right now? He's actually gotten to the squash seeds, and he's decided that these squash seeds today are edible. Normally he ignores them, so he tried to make a liar out of me. He's enjoying squash seeds today. But I think that might have been because I gave him a couple of sunny seeds, and he's got in his mind that there might be some good stuff inside. Oh yeah, look at those eyes, Ken. You're doing so good, Tycho. Yeah, I'm just going to let this stream run while Tycho is enjoying himself. There's no point in stopping a stream if the bird is enjoying himself. And I mean, it is kind of fun to watch. Tycho, your fans would be really impressed if you just shredded the whole squash tonight. Yeah, we've got a small group, and a couple of our normal attendees are not here right now. People from overseas, it's going to be probably the middle of their night or early in the morning, just depends what time zone everybody's on, but that's okay. They can watch this one on the replay. Actually, watching the replay can be kind of fun too. One thing I love to watch Tycho eating squash in 2 times speed. Just how eagerly he gets into it. It's kind of fun to watch. Yes, Tycho's keeping a close eye on me. He's noticed that I'm making dinner, so he's kind of curious what's for dinner. Yeah, there'll be some for you later, buddy. You're not missing out. Of course you're not. Some seedies. The seedies good? Are the seeds good? Hey, Tango Elliott. Welcome, welcome. Yes, we just did a little bit of an impromptu pop-up stream. Been here for a little bit. Tycho's enjoying himself. And that started off life as an acorn squash. First, Tycho was having a hard time getting his beak into it. I think this one's not as ripe as he usually gets. But he's definitely been enjoying himself. Tango, I've noticed that sometimes with YouTube too, it does not always notify. If you want to make sure that you have a higher percentage chance of being notified, obviously click that bell, subscribe to the channel, click the bell to say you want to receive notifications. Even so, YouTube won't notify all the time. But anytime you do get a notification, if you join the stream, if you interact with the stream, if you're commenting, if you're viewing when we pop up with videos on the side, YouTube will assume that you want to see more of our channel. So that stuff always, always helps. Yeah, the algorithm can be a little bit odd and a little bit annoying. You know, we do have a regularly scheduled stream on Saturdays at 10:45 Mountain Standard Time. That stream is always going to happen on the appointed time. Give or take a minute, depends if I sat on a wasp before the stream or not. But, you know, so that one's the one you can count on, and occasionally we'll do a pop-up with Tycho or with Max, just for fun. Yeah, Tango, we're really glad that you're here now. But, you know, you can definitely catch up on what you missed on the stream after the fact, too. Tango says that Tango's attorneys are Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe. That is definitely funny. Hey, Tycho, is that good? Oh, yeah, you found the seeds, and those are good. Okay. I'm going to apologize. I'm just going to make a little bit of noise over here. I've been cooking dinner and I need to pull something out of the oven. And I have a very sensitive smoke detector. So to keep it from going off, I do have to turn on a fan. Is that good over there, buddy? Okay. You got that, Tycho? You got the good stuff? You do? Yeah, Tycho, you just keep looking at that. Okay. Go back into the oven for a minute. Go. Okay. Needs a few more minutes in there, I think. Is Tycho full? Is he tired? He might be a little bit tired. So Tango, one thing that I did earlier for Tycho is I gave him a small sprinkling of sunflower seeds on his squash. That was a lot of fun. I'll do that again for you. Just give me a minute. Hey, Teeks. Hey, Tycho, do you want a few sunny seeds? Hi. Hi? You want a few sunny seeds? Watch. Watch. Watch, Tycho, watch. There you go. Oh, that's a pretty good squash. It's even giving you seeds. And back interested. And you'll notice one thing about Tycho compared to Max. Look at the attention span. Tycho can just focus on a squash for an hour at a time. Max, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Max has a very short attention span. Hey Amanda, glad that you returned. Yeah. It's the Great Squash Massacre, definitely. Yeah, Amanda, I think most of us stay in a lot with COVID and social distancing. It's actually pretty cool that we have so many people hanging out with us this evening, even though this was not planned. But Tycho is definitely enjoying himself. Yeah, he'd probably volunteer to do this every night of the week if it meant a fresh squash. So during pumpkin season, he'll go, as soon as he finishes one full-size pumpkin, I give him the next. He spends the month of October chewing and shredding pumpkins. And then pumpkin season is over. A little bit disappointing for Tycho, but then I get him some squash, acorn squash has been a pretty good size and a pretty good deal. Sometimes I'll get him spaghetti squash, sometimes it really depends what is out, what looks good, what's small, and what's a good price. Now, why would I care that the squash is small? Because just look at him, he just went through an entire squash. He gets kind of offended if you only give him half of the squash at a time. He'd much rather just have an entire squash to destroy, so I tend to buy the smaller ones. Smaller ones also have a lot of surface area for the rind, and he loves chewing through that now that he's got his beak into it. Oh yeah, he chopped through it fast, especially given if you were here at the beginning, you'll notice that Tycho did not get into the squash right away. It took him a little while before he got his beak into it. As I mentioned earlier, I think the squash may not have been as ripe, so it may have been a little bit harder to get through. It's also the shape of the squash. He was having a hard time getting a grip with his beak. He tried standing on it. He tried getting pretty territorial with it. In the end, I did cut a few little slices. That was not enough. Then I cut a little bit more of a nick into it, and that got him in. KT Spirit. Do you know what's actually going to happen with some of the shredded leftovers? I'm going to hand them over to Max because Max also enjoys squash. And Max is going to basically get some squash chop courtesy of Tycho. Now, you'll notice I'm not going to do that though until after Tycho's finished with the squash. Reaching in right now would probably be a finger limiting decision. Hey Max. I got a nana for you. Yeah, is that a fresh nana? Oh, that's good. Yes. Yeah, Max is paying a bit of attention because he knows he's seen me puttering in the kitchen and he's thinking that dinner should be about done now. He should be getting some. He's currently having a good munch on a banana. Isn't that right, Tycho? Yeah, did I get it right? Did I get the right type of banana this time? Is it the right shade of green? Or is it the right shade of ripe? Yeah? Oh. There we go. as I'm trying to chase Tycho. Hey, Tycho. How's the squash? Not much left. That's right. Okay. I know, you're really getting spoiled today. What's happening to Mr. Squash? Did the squash grow some sunny seeds? Oh, it sure did. Are those good? Yes, Tycho loves the sunny seeds. And he's right back in face into squash. Yes, Tycho, those are good. Tycho, did you notice I was doing some cooking? I have some rice for you. I'll put it down there, okay? There you go, a little cup of rice. Oh, yeah, so I got one for Max as well. If you're curious what that looks like, just before I give Max his, I'll just try and come into the camera. So what I've got here is just, this one's just a cupcake liner, and I've tossed some rice into it. And it's totally plain rice. It's made without any salt, made without any oil. Oh, would you like some rice, Max? Oh, yeah. And the Flocks figured out that, you know, you don't just pick up the cupcake liner because all of the rice will fall out. Let's go in for it. So after the rice finished cooking, I let it cool down a little bit. Here we go. Oopsies. There. Let's go a little bit more of an angle there. There you go, Tycho. Yeah, Tycho's definitely all over that rice. But he was watching me cook it earlier and he knew that there was some coming. My usual rule of thumb is if I'm cooking something that the birds can eat, I cook it in a way that they can eat it. For example, if I make shrimp, I'll make some shrimp that are just plain cooked, no sauce, and the flock can have some of that. I get stuff with the sauce on it. But they are really good about eating because they are used to having quite a varied diet. And that diet means if I'm eating an apple or a pear or a cucumber or a tomato, they get a little bit of it. I mean, they're going to share, and this is something they really enjoy doing. I mean, they're a flock animal. If I'm eating something, they want to eat the same thing. I can't say I blame them. Oh, Amanda, I'm sorry to hear that. Hang in there. Flock is sending wing hugs your way. Tango asks, so Uman, when you eat, do they stay in cages? Tango, usually what I do is when I'm eating, I will serve food. Now, it's going to depend what the food is. There's some foods I'll let them eat inside of their cages, other foods that I insist on being outside of the cage, just because how easy it is to clean up. For example, shrimp will be eaten outside of the cage on a perch tree so that I can absolutely catch any bits that are dropped. A bit of plain rice or an apple, it's not the end of the world if that gets dropped and the flock has to work on it on their, that it sort of lands into the bottom or something. So I definitely it will depend what I'm eating. Tycho enjoys joining me for dinner. He definitely would love to eat off my plate, but they're not allowed to do that. But they definitely watch me cook. Now, how I'm cooking, it will depend if they're out or not. If I'm frying something on the top of the stove, Tycho will usually be inside of his cage. He has the power of flight. I don't think he'd be stupid enough to fly onto a pan on the stove, but it's entirely possible. So I just don't tempt fate with that. If I'm frying something in a fry pan, I will put him inside of his cage because, oil, spatter, something like that, that could be really, really hard to deal with. If I just have, say, a pot of rice on the stove, I'm not going to worry quite as much. He could still hurt himself, but it's much easier to deal with that, and that pot I can have a cover on, so he's not going to end up right in the middle of food. The biggest worry there would just be how, if he hurt himself. So I put the flock first and decide how I'm going to protect them first. Was that good rice, Max? Oh, you're still working on it. Yeah. Oh, Tico's busy doing a little bit of preening, a little bit of cleanup. Did you enjoy that, Tycho? Are you gonna sit up tall? Do I need to change the camera? Oh, Amanda, we're really glad that YouTube can be here for you. It gives us a chance to hang out with you. We're really glad that we can bring you some smiles. That's important to us. There we go. How's that? Now we got a better view of Tycho. Hey, Tycho, do you want a quick scritchies? Scritchies? Yeah? Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, dinner and a scritchie. Oh, dinner and scritchies. Is that good? Okay. If you're done with scritchies, that's okay. Hey, Tycho, are you all done? Did you make enough of a mess over there? Yeah, did you make a mess? Did you enjoy yourself? That's really the big question is, did you enjoy yourself? Messes can be cleaned up as long as you enjoyed yourself. Yeah. Yeah, you did, huh? Let's see. You look so cute giving yourself a scratch there, Tycho. Well, Tycho, I'm going to give you a few more minutes to see if there's anything else you want to do on the stream, or if you think it's nap time. Yeah, Mookie Tango is on InstaFlock, or in his case, I think he calls it InstaBark. But if you go to Instagram, if you're following me, Tango is always commenting on my videos, but he is Tango Elliott on InstaFlock. A lot of fun to follow him there. And if you cannot find him, just send me a message on InstaFlock and I will connect you. Amanda has a question. She asks, fennel, is that how you spell it? Yes, Amanda, I believe that is how you spell fennel. And she asks, do birds like fennel? It's actually a really good question, Amanda. It's not something I normally would pick up for the flock. And it's not something that I buy very often for myself. Generally, the flock will eat what I pick up for myself. If I've got it in the house, they get to eat some. I mean, my last grocery trip, grapes, apples, bananas were the fruits. Those are what I'm eating. That's what the flock's eating. For vegetables, we've got broccoli, we've got mini peppers, we have zucchini. What else did I buy? Oh, I bought some snap peas. And the flock will get a share of those as well. Produce was not really great last week when I was at the store, so I just picked up what I thought looked okay and thought that I would eat. You know, but the birds always get a good variety of stuff, and that's really what's important. Amanda, don't ever worry about being a downer Debbie. We're really glad that you feel safe to share about your situation here and that you're able to be here and just hang out with some friends on the streams. That's just a wonderful thing. Really, really glad to see everybody interacting and really glad to see that, you know, people are making connections, they're making some friends. And I think that's really, really cool, really important. Yes, Doris. Tico's just about done with the squash. He's busy scrubbing his beak. He definitely had some fun tonight. So I'm really, really glad that I did decide to do a stream. I cannot believe that we've been streaming Tycho for an hour and 20 minutes, but Tycho's been entertaining us all for that amount of time. Took him a while to get into his squash, but he did do a good job on it. I'm going to walk over and just do a little bit of a close-up. Just excuse the wobble. So there we go, Tycho. There's Tycho. And there's the mess that he left on there. And then he made a big mess on the floor as well. I'm going to have to clean that up. There's squash, the remnants of rice, and a very, very happy looking Tycho. So we're really, really glad that everybody joined us today. I'm going to wish everybody a wonderful weekend. In Canada, we have Victoria Day, so it is a long weekend. So that means that we have tomorrow off, which is kind of nice. And we'll get on getting some videos up for the week. We've got some fun stuff. I still have some footage of Max walking outside. This week it's not been great outside. We've had some snow. You know, weather's not been wonderful, but we still have a bit of footage there to share, and I think it's a lot of fun. So I'm going to wish everybody a wonderful, wonderful week ahead. Please stay healthy, stay happy, and, you know, our thoughts are with you, Amanda. Everybody take care. Bok bok.